Okay, this is some notes on the i1 Xtreme quadcopter, things that I've learned. And one thing I learned was that once you put the battery in, basically you have to plug in here first and then lay the battery in the tray and wrap this Velcro around it, which is fine and works every time. The challenge I found was putting the aerial camera tray on the quad itself. You have these four small pins right there, actually sockets that need to be aligned with these little pins, and I ended up not aligning one of those and it bent, kind of mashed pretty well, although I did fix it with some pliers. I straightened it out, but to more easily put this on, the best way I've found is to just, I'm going to set the camera down and do this, but set the quad upside down on a table and get this kind of started, and then hold it and look through here and align one end of the sockets with the pins and just get them barely started. And then I'm going to turn it around and do the same on this end. I find it quite difficult to get it aligned, but make sure that all four are aligned and then press it home. Of course, I don't have the battery in right now, but for demonstration purposes. And then the way I put this little GoPro knockoff sharper image camera on there. I haven't measured it. I don't know if it's exactly the same. It probably isn't exactly, but it's got to be pretty close to a GoPro. The way I put this on is got some Velcro, the hook side here. The loops are on the camera, top and bottom, so that I can take this camera and just free shoot with it and I'm not rubbing up against the rough hook side. So I end up starting the camera with that button on the right, and then while it's running I stick it to the Velcro, and of course I want to point down, which is back in this case a little bit, about that angle. So then I take the short Velcro. This red Velcro is double-sided, and hook it on. So it's almost impossible to do one-handed. And with the other end of the strap, I wrap that around so it is secured. That is almost the right angle. I'm going to say that's almost too much down. Probably want a little bit less than that. Probably. I don't think I can move it enough, but think about that angle right there is what I found to be just right. So unfortunately, you're handling this thing with the battery plugged in and energizing the quad before you put the camera on, and I have not had it start by itself. I usually do all of this and then turn on the transmitter after I set it up right. The other thing is I'm not using the standard receiver. I've added this little mini receiver. It's high-tech compatible since I have a high-tech transmitter, and the camera's not going to focus. Okay, great. I love technology when it doesn't work very well, but yeah, I've got this little mini receiver, the little antenna sticking out to the side. I've got some silicone sealant. I've added the base of the antenna because I've seen these fall off, and the manual will walk you through using PPM, the manual that comes with this receiver. So this is all running on PPM back to the flight control board. So that's what it looks like, and I typically have had it like the camera shooting toward me. This is tail in flight, which is the easiest, and I could easily turn the camera around if I had the sun to my back and I wanted to shoot what was more in front of me, or in front of the quad than behind. So I have not tried it that way, but I'm sure it'd be fine. And the other thing that I forgot to talk about was the flight times with the batteries. With the stock 800 milliamp hour battery, with this setup, and this camera is actually quite heavy. I can't remember if it's 60 or 70 grams, maybe 80 grams. I think the Mobius is 42, around that ballpark. So this is quite a heavy camera. So with the standard black 800 milliamp hour battery, it has a flight time of 10 minutes with the standard propellers, the shorter legs, and no camera, no flight kit. So standard configuration is 10 minutes. And then in flight mode or camera mode with the camera, the flight tray, the camera tray, the other high lift propellers, and the longer legs, it's running 8 minutes. And then I also bought these spare batteries. These are actually, I think, intended to use the camera. They're higher capacity. So these 1150 milliamp hour batteries are 14 minutes in the standard configuration, and 9.5, 9 3/4 with the camera. So I fly typically a couple minutes shy of that just to make sure, because when it runs out of battery, it falls out of the sky like a brick.